So let's talk Pear. And at the end of the class, I gave you an assignment and I just said, go try. So try, just give it a test, see what you can do. There's something about feeling into something. You can see the pear and trying to create the pear. But then I thought, well, you first try, and then I'm going to create a video on how I would paint it. Okay. So let's talk pear. I'm going to change my camera real quick. And let's look at the pear. So yesterday in class, you created basically a value scale using one color, a monochromatic value scale that goes from dark to light. And I ran off a photocopy, a black and white photo of this pear. And when you squint, just gently close your eyes, you can see that the darkest is probably down in here. And here's the shadow side. So all the shadow side of the pear is over here on the side. You see that? And then all the lit side is over here, right? And there's a hard edge here, right here. And remember, in first class, we did this in vine charcoal. And we got the stem, and we have this soft transition right here. So if this is number 1, we go into 2, and if you squint, you'll see a soft transition of 3. We go into some 4, and then we have a highlight of number 5. And in the class, we talk about the value ball. Remember that? This is reflective light. And when we actually do a drawing, we don't put this bright color down here. Our mind thinks it's in this family of lights, but we found in the drawing class that when you make that really bright and light, like what we think, it pops out. So something I want you to think about: the shadow, the family of darks, and the family of light. Family of shadow and the family of light. Okay, so let's see what this looks like. So I've got my pear here, and I went ahead. I don't know what I did with my paints. They're probably in my studio. So I just mixed up a quick palette, and it's easy, super easy to remix it. My theory on painting is if you've done it once, you can do it again. So I have the number 1, the dark, and the number 5, the light. And I'm just closing one eye, I'm looking at it, and the values are pretty close. There's a little difference, and I'm just gonna say something real quick here. Now, I don't want to confuse you, so I'm saying it very quickly. This is a white pear. So the shadows on a white pear can't be very dark. Really, in reality, if I were to lit this pear, it would be like the darkest would be a value 5. So the range of values 3 would, the darkest would be value 3. These numbers, midtone, because it's a white pear. So shadows on white objects can't be black. They're going to be more of a midtone. Okay? So that's just a side note, something that you don't have to overthink about, but just realize. Because when we start painting white objects, I don't want you to think, okay, that's a number, that's a black, because it's a shadow. But not all shadows are a 1. Not all shadows are that dark. Okay? It's just a side note. The reason we're doing it dark here as a number 1 is because it's a photocopy. photos tend to make shadows black, but when we paint from life, they aren't. Okay, that's just a side note. So let's go back to painting this pear. I always like to say stuff like that just because right now it might not make sense, but in the future you'll come across it and say, oh, that's what she was talking about. All right. And even here, I'm looking at the screen, that is not a number one. If I were to isolate it, it's more like it's like almost a cross between a number 2 and 3. But let's just paint the pear. Let's just get to it. So what you want to do is you want to draw the pear. And I want to show you this, how to draw a pear with a brush. Remember, the brush is like, it's a tool that we use, just like a pencil. Get my stuff together. And because I'm going to do a drawing, I'm going to dip. And I'm going to grab some of this color right here. And I'm just looking at the pear, and I'm not too worried about it. And I'm working on watercolor paper. So if my pear is a little wonky, oh, look at that. I actually like that. I'm loving that shape. This is where it's a little awkward for me because I'm painting flat. It's better to paint vertically on an angle because it skews the way you see the work. But let's see. I'm going to lift it up just a little bit. There we go. All right. So I've got my pear drawn. I'm going to go ahead and put my stem up here and my little leaf. I'm just quickly drawing this. There we go. So I've got all the information I need here. Oh, one thing I don't have is that transition line. And I'm going to draw that bug line, the transition between light and shadow here. And it follows a contour of the pear. Do you see this? It comes over, down, and around. There we go. Now I'm going to clean my brush. And let's see. I got some issues. I don't know where to put things. So I'm struggling here just a smidge. Put this up here. There you go, so you could see it. Yeah, a little messy, but ignore that. That's what Studio does. Okay, I'm going to clean my brush. I'm going to squeeze it out. I'm going to feel it. And I'm going to put it back in my brush pile. And I'm going to grab a brush to paint with. When I paint with brushes on this is a filbert brush. Do you see the rounded edge? It's nice. If you paint with a flat brush, you can end up getting lines in your painting. But try both. Sometimes you get lines. This prevents lines, so use this brush. Okay, we're going to start with the shadow side of the paint. And I've never painted on watercolor paper before, and it's really sucking up the paint. So I'm going to squirt. There we go. I want to be able to move the paint. Oh yeah, that's better. So I'm trying to paint with thick paint. And I'm painting very quickly. So I'm going to scrumple in this line right here. It's a soft edge. And then, do you see how I'm kind of going from this pile of dark and moving through here? So I'm squirting this. I don't think when you're painting on your canvas, I don't know. Actually, I really don't know. I've never squirted a canvas before. Just give it a little bit slicker. I just want to move the materials, what's going on right now. So I'm putting an underpainting is what I'm doing. And I'm kind of liking what's happening here. I'm liking all that a lot. It dries pretty fast. Let's see. And as I fall away from the shadow, it goes to like a number 3. You see that? And I'm just kind of scrumpling. I'm scrumpling things in. Yeah. And it falls away so the edges get smoother, softer. That's nice. This gets pretty dark in here. So I'm going into the number 5. And I'm just creating a little bit of an edge right here. And really this should go last, but I'm working in the family of shadow. So I'm just going to do that. There we go. You see how it pops this out? Nice. Okay. Now I just cleaned my brush. I don't know why I did that. Habit. I've got habits. So I'm going to go on the lit side now. And do you see how it's almost a hard edge here? So while I still have some paint on this is a nice thing about working in monochromatic. You don't have to worry about your brush. Like if I had green and I was dipping into red, it's going to corrupt the color. And when you're working in monochromatic, you're working with one color. So you're just shifting. You don't have that problem so much. So I'm just tickling the edges here. And really, honestly, with that, just find yourself and be kind and just kind of play. And I'm just kind of knitting these together. And I want to be very careful not to get this. I'll do it. I'm just going to do it. If I see how that pops out, I'm very careful not to get the light into the shadow side. Very careful. Okay. I'm just kind of scumbling. I'm just playing very quickly. I'm going to go into number 5, the lightest color. I'm just going to pull it up here. And like that. There was this thing yesterday, I think, Nancy, when you talked about the brush marks, that thinness and the black dog. Even black has lights in it. And shine. And then sometimes stuff will happen with your brush. I call it serendipity. And things happen unintentionally. And just that's the fun of being an artist, are those unintentional things that happen. Now, I don't like how my pear is split, and it's actually darker around here. So I just put a number 3, and it's not moving the color. It's not darkening it. So I'm just going to grab some of this while it's still wet, and I'm just going to come in here, and I'm trying to darken it just a little bit without being the number 1, because I want those soft edges. So I'm kind of, in a way, modeling the paint. I'm sculpting it. That got a little bit too dark. This is a beautiful thing with acrylic. It's really easy to paint over it. Oh, okay. Now, something about this pear. Mine looks like I'm looking straight at it, but the photo, we're looking down on the top. And the reason we look like it's down on the top is this shape up here. Mine's too dark. So I'm just going to come up here and clean my brush and we'll wipe it. And I'm just going to get, and it's still a little bit wet up here, so that's nice. Tickle some edges. There we go. Still not enough. Okay, so this is where I need to come in. I'm just going to really say, okay, let's circle up here. Be a little bit of perspective lesson here. Okay. Um, I'm liking that better. And now, do you see how I'm like right here? I want to push this out just a little bit because I like this. Oof, you see that? So I'm using color, so I'm not dark enough here. I need to get into the number 2. So I'm building layers and softening edges and darkening areas. I'm okay with that. All right, let's put on this leaf real quick. We're back into the dark family, so that's on the shadow side. So I'm only working with these colors right here. And I kind of like this texture of the white coming through. Some of that is serendipitous. Maybe it's a little bit too dark. There we go. There's a little light spot right there. Well, I'll show you what to do with that. So if that's a little bit too dark, I'll just come in here and just touch it because I kind of like that. Soften edges. There we go. There we go. It's all smoke and mirrors. I'm giving the illusion. It's not a pear, but I'm giving the illusion of a pear. And do you see right here, there's a little shadow under there. So if I use this, it's going to be too light. I don't want to use the black because it's going to be too dark. Because do you see the shadow here? It's not very dark. But you know what I am missing is that stem coming here into the pear. There we go. Okay, you can change. You're watching me use one brush, so I'm gonna come in here and use a there. And that's edge of round pointed brush. I'm gonna get in here and be a little bit more careful. That's not a super hard edge, it's kind of a softer edge. And I'm gonna come here and just check. Oh yeah. I'm just checking the value to make sure it's what I want. Painting with my fingers. I want a little bit more contrast there. Going into shadow light. So I'm going to create a little bit of edge right here. I got too much light down here underneath. There we go. That's good enough. And then, see, I'm going to put a little white because I'm going to leave the white of the paper. So I'm just going to go in here to create space between the pear and leave stem and the background. There we go. So use just a little bit. All right, and I think that's it. Maybe over in here I can clean up. So I'm gonna stop here because I want you to discover some on your own. And then the background, I'm gonna clean up some edges. I can do that. Oh, I got some red on my, but I'm okay with that. I can sharpen the edge a little bit. Oh, I wanted to show you highlights. I have a dirty brush. Acrylics kind of self-balance and flatten out themselves. So you can have it a little, I like it a little brushy. I don't like it really flat. I think the motion of the brush gives it energy. Those brush strokes gives your paint a little bit of energy. There we go. I could do more, but I'm gonna stop there. A highlight. Okay, let's do one real quick. I'm gonna put a little white highlight and oh, there's one right here. There's a little dot. A little dot right here. Yeah, see it? Goes up right here. And the highlights, you just gotta put it on there and not tickle it. You just gotta leave it alone. Get it on there and leave her alone. And I think that's all we're gonna do for now. Because if I go much further, I'm gonna overwork it and not be happy. So there's a pear. That's how you can paint a pear. Trying to change my camera here. Okay, I trouble clicking, finger clicking when I wasn't working. All right, so that's how you paint a pear. That's one way. That's one way you can paint a pear. So try it yourself. Watch a video. Try this. And what you saw me do was laying color in on watercolor paper. So it's a little bit of different substrate, the surface. And you watched me blending edges. I had the family of dark separate from the family of light. So it's really easy with monochromatic palette to do that because it keeps you more structured. Okay, this goes here, this goes there. So it's a really good exercise. And we talked about edges, how to blend, how to put the material on. Yeah, have fun. And when you do a pair painting, share it. Share it in the group. I'll see you next Friday.